YouTube? How's it going? Zach Butler, YGO, back with another video. This time, I'm going to be talking about a deck I have been super excited to play since about a month ago, actually, when I started picking up all the stuff, which is the Shining Sarcophagus deck. Although, I wanted to show you the version that I'm playing, which includes the Melodious engine, and I'll go into why that is as we go through the deck. As always, if you enjoy this content, let me know by going ahead and subscribing, and comment down below if you have any ideas for this deck. This is one I'm very excited to play. And if you want to pick up any of the cards, use the affiliate link in the description below. A portion of that does go to the channel, so you're helping me with helping yourself out, which is always great. But we're just going to jump right into the deck, and we're going to start off with the 3 gadget trios that are in the deck. This is your main starter monster, and what it does is on normal or special summon adds a Shining Sarcophagus or a spell or trap that mentions it from your deck to your hand, which is pretty cool. Its secondary effect can go ahead and set Stronghold, the hidden fortress, from your deck if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, but we're not really using that effect here. This is just like your mainstay starter. Then there is 2 Silent Magician 0. This is by far the better of the 2 silent monsters between Silent Swordsman and Silent Magician. What this one does is every time your opponent draws a card, you increase its level by the number of cards drawn. Also, while its level is higher than its original level, it gains attack equal to the difference times 500. And then when your opponent activates a spell card or effect while you control Shining Sarcophagus, you can negate the activation, and if you do, you increase its level by 1. So that's going to be a general end board piece that you're going to want to have. And then the other monster that I'm playing to supplement that as well is actually one more Marshmallow. Now, I've seen most Shining Sarcophagus decks play Silent Swordsman 0, and I'm not the biggest fan of Silent Swordsman 0. I don't think it offers enough agency in the current format. I really like the more Marshmallow because of the combo that I will show you at the end of the video. And just in general, I think more Marshmallow offers a little bit more agency as well into the Yubel matchup, because more Marshmallow says that while you control Shining Sarcophagus, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and your opponent's monsters can only attack it. So in the case of Yubel, that means that as long as you're not being forced into attacking thanks to Nightmare Pain, you're only going to be taking 300 to 500 damage as opposed to, tons of damage from much larger monsters. And when you're doing your general setup, it's a better way to protect your Silent Magician 0, which is also going to protect it because it can stop spell cards, and it can, you have your other negations as well. So that's why I'm playing more Marshmallow, and I think the card is really good. Then I'm playing 2 Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction. This is your main boss monster of the deck. It gains attack equal to the number of banished cards times 300, and then if you have Shining Sarcophagus out, you can special summon it from your hand. And you can also go ahead and pay half your life points to destroy all other cards in the field and banish them. Then special summon 1 level 7 or lower monster from your deck and increase its level by the number of cards banished. That's actually where the second copy of Silent Magician 0 will often come in, because it gains a ton of free attack that way. To go with the 2 Gandora Gs, I'm also playing 1 copy of Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic. This is the newest support card brought by Infinite Forbidden, and it counts as Dark Magician on the field, which is obviously really cool if you're a long-term anime fan like myself. But if you have Shining Sarcophagus in the field, you can just go ahead and special summon it for free, which is really cool. And if it is destroyed by a card effect while there's a level 5 or higher monster on the field, you can special summon it back and then set a spell or trap that mentions your Dark Magician. The spell card you'll be setting is Secrets of Dark Magic, and what Secrets of Dark Magic does, it is a quick play fusion spell, and the reason why that is important is because Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic, obviously counts as Dark Magician, and then Gandora G is a dragon, so that means you can go ahead and fuse those 2 into Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is an incredibly powerful card and offers yet another layer of interaction in the format. Then you have 3 Shining Sarcophagus. This is the mainstay of the deck, of course. Searches out all the monsters that mention, or all the cards that mention Shining Sarcophagus, including 3 Future Silence, which is basically 3 Rhoda for the deck. But also Future Silence says that if you activate it in the battle phase, both players draw until they have 6 cards in their hand. So it's kind of like the Card of Sanctity from the anime. That effect does not seem like it'd be the greatest offhand, but when you're using your Silent Magician 0, that can actually matter because you can force your opponent to draw a bunch of cards and then it gains attack, letting you end the game much more quickly. The last Shining Sarcophagus support cards we have are 2 Turn Silence. This is a card I'm actually considering playing 3 of because it is basically called by the grave in this deck. You target a face-up monster you control and increase its level by 3, and then if you activated this in response to an opponent's monster effect activation while you control Shining Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions it, you negate that monster's effect. So you can use it in response to Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, in response to Nibiru, all sorts of really cool cards, Promethean Princess, like there's just a bunch of really cool interactions that card has. And then also, Turn Silence makes your U-Bell matchup a little bit better because during damage calculation, if you control a monster that mentions Shining Sarcophagus and it battles, you can go ahead and banish this card from the graveyard and end the battle phase. And that effect actually is really important because that can sometimes swing games that you might lose otherwise back into your favor by buying you another turn. The last Shining Sarcophagus support card that I play is Ties That Bind, and this one is just a crazy card that it says if you control a Shining Sarcophagus and a monster that mentions it, you special summon up to 2 level 4 or lower monsters with different names that mention Shining Sarcophagus from your hand or deck, and for the rest of the turn, after it resolves, you can't use your extra deck, which is the downside. The reason why there's only 1 Ties That Bind is because it is so easily accessible and you really aren't going to need it for grind games, but it is nice to have. To support that, as I mentioned before at the beginning, I am playing the Melodious engine, so that is going to be 3 Refrain, the Melodious Songstress, 1 Couplet to search off of the Refrain, 3 Ostinato, this card is just insane, and then 1 Concerto as well. So these 8 cards, you're going to burn through, if you open up with Ostinato, you burn through legitimately all of these, and you just have 2 Ostinatos left in your deck, which is fine. But this offers you a ton of negations as well as agency in games that you might otherwise not have it. Plus, it also offers you free bodies and follow-up if they do manage to break your board and you're still alive. Then for just generalized consistency, I am playing Pot of Prosperity. While it does conflict with Concerto, I think that being able to see so much of your extra deck is very valuable, although I am considering playing Pot of Desires instead because it does combo so well with Gandora, and so much of your deck is just repeated copies of cards, and I think that this is a deck that's weak enough that maybe that extra card might be worth more than being able to see just a precision card. I'm not totally sure yet, we'll have to see through additional testing. Then for the non-engine, I'm playing 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. It's just the best hand trap overall. 3 Dimension Shifter. Because your deck does not care about your graveyard other than the Melodious engine, I think that it is an absolute must to play Shifter while it is legal in this format. The reason why I'm playing Shifter and the Melodious engine, though, is that if you draw Shifter, you can just hold off on the Melodious engine and be fine. If you draw the Melodious engine and not Shifter, then you get to play that. And Shifter is just such a powerful card that I think it's worth having that small bit of conflict. And then 3 Infinite Impermanence to go with that as well, giving you 9 hand traps, and then 1 Call by the Grave, as well as 1 copy of There Can Be Only One, because you play so many different types of monsters. Generally, your end field will have a machine, a fairy, a spellcaster, a cybers, a dragon, and a actually potentially another fairy. It is up because of the Appaloosa and the More Marshmallow, and that is assuming that all that goes off without a hitch. But even if it does, you can always just give up one of those monsters, or just hold off on the There Can Be Only One. That was the main deck. It's 41 cards. For the extra deck, we have first up 2 copies of Baka, the Melodious Maestra. That card is just crazy, summoning out another Refrain from deck, as well as bringing back a monster from grave. Then you have the 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon that goes with this as well. This is going to be summoned off of your Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. And then 1 Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This is probably the least frequently summoned card in the extra deck, but it's there just in case. I'm also playing 1 Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, 1 Star Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis, and then for the Link monsters, you have 1 SP Little Knight, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Line of the Light Charmer Lustrous. Line is going to come up more often than Dark because you don't play nearly as many dark monsters, but I wanted to have both in there for the utility. And then Moon of the Closed Heaven, Exceed the Pendulum, Appaloosa, Access Code Talker for when you need to OTK, and Underworld Goddess of the Closed World to pair with the Moon of the Closed Forest. Or Heaven, sorry. Moon of the Closed Heaven. So that is the main and extra deck. Now I'm going to show you a quick combo, and then that will be it. So go ahead and enjoy, and let me know down below what you think. Okay, everyone, this is an example of why I like the Melodious engine in the Shining Sarcophagus deck, and we're going to go ahead and do a 2-card combo involving, it can be Gadget Trio, Shining Sarcophagus, or Future Silence. Any one of those 3 will get you to Trio, which will then get you to Shining Sarcophagus, which then gets you to everything else, and Ostinato. So you're going to lead with your Ostinato, and you're going to send 2 Refrain from deck to grave to special summon a Baka from your extra deck. Baka is going to summon the 3rd Refrain from your deck, which will then activate, adding your Couplet from your deck to your hand. Activate Couplet, revealing itself, and special summon back your Refrain from graveyard. Then you can go ahead and scale your Couplet and add Melodious Concerto from your deck to your hand. Activate your Concerto using your 2 monsters as material, and summon a Baka from your extra deck. This will then trigger both of their effects to scale themselves, giving you your completed pendulum scales, which is very important for later on. And then you're going to go ahead and overlay the 2 Bakas for an Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. The cool thing here is that this is summon number 5, and if they Nibiru you, that will automatically put a Refrain in your extra deck, giving you the ability to have a negation going forward, which is obviously very good, as well as free monsters. But what we're going to do here is going to link summon the Refrain and the Absolute Dragon for Moon of the Closed Heaven. This will then trigger the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, Baka, and Concerto. So Concerto will go to the bottom of our deck, and we will draw another card, this time represented by Call by the Grave, but it is literally a blank, does not matter. Baka will then summon back the Refrain from our graveyard, and Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon will summon Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon as well. So now we have an Omni Negate to continue protecting our plays. Go ahead and link Moon in the Closed Heaven and the Refrain for Exceed the Pendulum. Exceed the Pendulum's effect is going to activate, adding Refrain from extra deck to hand. And we're going to use Exceed the Pendulum's other effect to special summon that Refrain out again. Then you're going to go ahead and link the Exceed the Pendulum and the Refrain for Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. Now, if you want, you can go ahead and Pendulum summon both of the Refrains from the extra deck because you have your completed scales. The issue here is that if they do open up with Imperm Nibiru, the Vortex can no longer protect the setup, but you're going to go ahead and link these 2 monsters into your IP Masquerena. From there, you can go ahead and normal summon your Gadget Trio, which will add your Shining Sarcophagus to hand. Activate your Shining Sarcophagus and activate its effect to add Ties That Bind to hand. And then you activate your Ties That Bind, and you special summon your Silent Magician 0, as well as your More Marshmallow. Now, the cool thing here is that you have an Omni Negate from Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon with 2 charges because you have 2 Refrains. So if they do have anything on your turn, you can obviously negate there. You have 2 negations from your Appaloosa. You'll have a negation from your Silent Magician 0, which will gain a level when they draw a card. You'll have the Link Summon potential from IP Masquerena as well. The really cool thing about this, though, is that More Marshmallow actually protects the 3 negates that you have from the 3 interactions, Silent Magician 0, IP Masquerena, and Appaloosa, because while you have Shining Sarcophagus, as I mentioned in the deck profile, More Marshmallow is the only monster that can be attacked. So that means that a lot of the times the ways that your opponents will force out your IP Masquerena is by just summoning and trying to go to battle phase. They can do that, and they can only attack the More Marshmallow. And this whole combo still left 4 cards in hand, meaning that you have a ton of potential interactions as well. And if you drew any extenders, you're even better off for the next turn. That's just the basic example I wanted to give as to why I think the Melodious engine is so good in the Shining Sarcophagus deck.